Welcome to the Dr. Reilly Show. I'm your host.
Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this?
Dr. Reilly.
Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this?
Good evening, good evening, good evening. As you know, my name is Dr. Anissa Reilly, and this is the Ask Dr. Reilly Show, LA edition. Yes, we've been on location this season, and it has been a wonderful, wonderful ride. And now tonight, I have my brother, my OSG brother, that is, the official Off School Grounds, OSG. Yeah, that's right. Just follow us on Instagram. And he is here, I am here in LA with my brother, Principal Rahh, the revolutionary educator. That's right. And tonight, we're going to engage in conversation around our topic, L-O-V-E, love, love, love. So, welcome, my brother, Rahh.
Hey, you
How
already
are
know.
you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Happy that you out here.
Yes.
On the West Coast.
Wait,
you know?
how y'all do it? You say West Side.
And you gotta
Okay,
throw
wait,
up the
West
West
Side.
Side. California love. You know, I'm glad
Yes.
that my OSG sister's here, so we can just break bread around love. I know, love is important. Shout out to our boy Ak. Focus
Yes,
on the love.
Focus on the love.
You know, his book coming out, Focus on the Love. So I'm excited to just, dive deep, break bread, and talk about love, talk about relationships, talk about why that's important for healing, but also for us to thrive.
Okay, so you're going right to my very first question I ask all my guests is to please define, what does love mean to you?
Love means something that's unconditional. Something that means sacrifice, something that has a purpose. I always think of love having like 3 layers of love. You have that love that creates excitement. You have that love that sparks engagement, but then you have that love that's truly unconditional, right? That no matter what comes, no matter what season it is, it's this overwhelming power that exudes love and positivity, and just something about that spiritual connection, but something about a covenant that 2 people or a village can have, and no matter what, speaks to excitement, engagement, and unconditional.
You just touched on something that a lot of people may or may not know. When we talk about love, there are 4 types of love. There's the agape love, there's the eros love, there's the phileo love. And I can't think of the other one right now, but there's 4 types.
Yeah.
And that's in the Greek language, right? And then you talked about power, like dunamis power, explosive power. So can you imagine putting love and this explosive power together? What a phenomenal force it would be if we acted and lived in those places and spaces.
Yeah. I always think, there's always like these 2 extremes, right? Like there's like, as leaders, like we're school leaders, and I'm a principal. So one leads out of fear, right? And they use fear, and then one leads out of love, right? And a lot of times those who lead with fear, they spark this type of movement that it kind of has a different type of energy. But when you have love, it's a true, authentic, that power that you speak of, because when someone loves you, they're going over and beyond for you. When someone fears you, they're going to a destination, they're going to a point just to appease you. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like if you focus on love and you lead with love, there's that beyondness. It's like going beyond that is limitless when it comes to love. I think fear has limitations.
And I ask all my guests the definition of love, and people have given different definitions. And you talked about leaders leading with fear or love. What about those leaders who actually believe they're leading with love, but that love is grounded in fear?
Yeah.
That's how they interact with love, because that was their introduction to it.
Yeah, and a lot of times people disguise this leading with fear as tough love, right? And I think sometimes there's imbalance in what someone may perceive as tough love, when actually it's like, yo, I'm leading with fear.
Okay, so break it down.
You know what I mean?
Break
So,
it down.
like this fear, for example, is something that is sparked because I want you to feel a threat. I want you to feel this level of respect. I want you to make sure that what I say you know that you're setting your place, right? Like if I'm leading what my school is, when I walk in the classroom, I want you to act. I want to spark a reaction from you, right? That is firm, that is structured, and that's where I'm looking. And that's leading with fear. Like your reaction is based off of fear, versus a reaction that's focused on respect and love, right? Like in relationships, it's like I want my wife to react out of love, not out of fear of my place as a man and as a husband. Just like my teachers, I want my teachers to be like, yo, I want to bring my best because I love and respect the leader and I love and respect kids, and you move different. It's like that power of love makes you feel, you know, at times invincible, because it's like it doesn't matter what everything else is around because you're moving through the power of love. When you move with fear, sometimes you have that uncertainty. You have that like, am I on the right track? So I like to believe that when you try to say, you know, you're trying to spark anxiety or this type of level that's part of someone's inner reaction, I think that more or less is fear being at the forefront versus love, and this like anchored down love that can move in a powerful way.
But isn't it true that a leader sometimes has to have a healthy fear, or a parent has to have a healthy fear, you know, in order to really have someone really move in those particular spaces? Because then there's always on the other side of love, like, oh, I love you so much, bendito, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to not confuse being like overly like a nurturer to just saying that that's love, because we have people that are very permissive with their love, right? Like you have, like in restorative practices, there's this 4 levels, right? You have like this punitive type of love, where that's the tough love. That's like, do as I say and that's it, right? And that, like, I'm doing something to you. Like that's leading with fear, right? That's leading with punitive. And then you have like, hey, I'm doing something for you all the time. Like, you know, you have mothers who are very nurturer. You have people that's like, I'm gonna do everything for you, mijo. I'm gonna do everything for you. All this, like I'm doing everything for you. And then you find that person not respecting you, right? And then you have that person that is like really trying to figure it all out. Like, all right, I'm doing things to you. I'm doing things for you. But the actual like true love is doing things with you, right? So if I'm doing things with you and we got great communication, we have clarity. Now your fear is because it's the fear of letting down, right? It's the fear of not, you know, meeting an expectation. It's this inner intrinsic type of fear that's like, oh man, I want to prove myself. I know that I have high expectations for this relationship, versus an extrinsic fear that's put on by the person that's giving you that to love. You know what I mean? So I think it's important for us to not confuse just like I'm doing everything for you and that's love. And a lot of people feel like you're not doing anything for me, so that's not love. Yeah. You know, and it's like, nah, you know, there's a level of everyone has a responsibility within love too. And I think you know, it's right. It's okay to have some fear. It's okay to have some like, all right, I want to hold myself to high standards, but it's like, where does that derive from?
Yeah. So you mentioned your wife.
See,
like guys, if you have been watching my show, every time I say to the guys about the woman that they love, they get this little smile on their face. Everybody get this. I'm like, that's a key.
Shout outs to my wife, Danielle.
Okay. So tell me the moment when you knew I love her.
Yeah, so I can tell you it was a few moments. One is when I met my wife on MySpace.
Okay, MySpace.
I don't know if you know MySpace. You know,
you dating yourself.
Yeah, I'm dating myself. It's all right. Shout outs to Tom. You know what I mean? But you know, I had shot up in her DMs, and you know, I was like, yo, what's Crease? Back in there, that was a word. And she wasn't messing with me. But anyways, fast forward, we got on the phone, and the Lakers championship game was on.
Okay.
And we were talking. She was like, "Yo, the Lakers is on. Kobe playing. Like, take care of it. Like, watch
shout
the
out
game."
to Kobe.
Yeah, like shout out to rest in peace, Mamba. She was like, "No, watch the game. You know, like take care of that. I'm gonna bring you some food, type of thing." And I was just like, "Yo, this is my type of.
I can watch the game.
This is my type of girl, right? So like that started when I knew she was special.
Yeah.
And as we became just deeper into our relationship, I just started, one day I just woke up and I was just like, I looked at her and was like, yo, this is my wife. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I knew that there was the person I wanted to be with the rest of my life. So
Can you take us a moment, because I think some women ask like, how did you know she was the one? How do I become the one? Or some guys was like, how do you know she was the one? Can you
yeah.
unpack that just a little bit?
I think everybody's different. I think my journey was with my wife. I just knew that we was just together, and she was somebody that I couldn't see myself without. You know, because we became so much of a bond, and we living with each other. We just connected. So it was to a point where it was like, yo, I'm not tired of you being around. You know what I mean? Like for me, I'm a certain way. So if I'm like get irritated with you or something, that's how. And it was like, yo, you around, and I'm not irritated. I'm not ready for you to go home. I'm not, you know. So we can take a long car ride and we had a conversation. So she was my friend, you know. So I think it was important for me when that journey was happening. I'm like, no, this is somebody I can be with forever, and it just made me feel special.
You said something that made me think about, you know, the pandemic, and research and statistics have come out that there have been a lot of divorces as a result of the pandemic. Because now you were required and forced to be in company with the person that you married. You know, there was no getting up and going to the job. There was no other place for you to get distracted. And these two lives were forced together and came out the pandemic and divorced.
I mean, people were forced to deal with their stuff. You know what I mean? They were forced to deal with, do we have a true covenant? Do we have a true friendship? What are our core values?
Wait, stop. I can't let that go on the audience. True covenant, true friendship, core values. Okay.
Yeah, because, and I sit here and say that, like, even my marriage hasn't been no easy. I don't think any marriage is just easy, right? But I think the roller coaster of a marriage and the ups and downs of working together through core values, of friendship, a responsibility, you know, is important. And I even had to grow in my own manhood to that. Because the husband I was at 27 when I got married is not the husband I am at 33 right now, you know? And it took some ups and downs. It took a lot of mistakes. Even things that I wasn't proud of early on as a husband, for me to grow and to be a better person that I wanted to be. You know what I'm saying? So I think during COVID, it forced people to be like, dang, this is you, this is me. Oh, this ain't this right. Because a lot of people, you know, they go through life and you go through life blind. Yeah. And then COVID made you open your eyes.
Yeah. That's one thing I said to my husband after COVID. COVID made me realize that I really like him. Like, I knew he's my friend. We were best friends, great friends, but because he was at home and I worked from home and we were working together, I was like, I really like him.
Yeah.
Not that I couldn't say that before, but I was like, yo, I really like this dude. You know? And so that's the realization that I came out of COVID having in regards to my relationship. And shout out to Danielle, you know, for being your true north too, right?
And I would say this too, like, especially in marriages, and I would say black marriages too, is like, get therapy. You know what I mean? Because a lot of time, shout out to J. Cole, like his song Pride is the Devil, a lot of time people can't communicate because of their pride. You know, you unhappy or whatever the case may be because you can't communicate because of your ego, or you communicate in the wrong way because of your pride, or what you feel should be said or done, and unwritten expectations. And a lot of times it's like that miscommunication can be worked out, but because our pride won't allow us to just talk it out through a professional, it just lingers and lingers and lingers, and then it explodes. Like, let's normalize, you know, family and marriage therapy. Let's normalize that, because, you know, there's a lot of fixes that can be happen for the covenant to be stronger if you communicate, be transparent, open, and vulnerable.
I think one of the best pieces of advice that I got around marriage was marriage is spelled W-O-R-K. Marriage is work. It's not a happily ever after. It's working at it every single day and being very intentional, and the two people being truly committed. I remember you told me a story about when you were working out and your Achilles.
Yeah, I ruptured my Achilles. Yeah.
And so when you were telling me that story about how Danielle stood by you, I was like, yeah. So
Yeah.
you mind telling the people that story?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So I remember like it was yesterday. I just was promoted to be an assistant principal, and you know the kids they were getting in so much violence behind the park and everything like that. I was like, yo, let's start an after the school basketball league. Girls and guys come and play basketball. So we all playing basketball. We like 3 weeks in. 3 weeks in, I'm playing basketball, and I push off, and I felt somebody like kick. It felt like a kick behind your leg. I don't know if you were back in the days when you're in elementary, people try to kick the other leg and like make you fall. That's what it felt like. Somebody hit the back of my ankle, and I fell, and I turned back around. Nobody was there, and I said, "Oh my gosh." Because that's the story I hear about Achilles.
Me too. You feel like somebody kicked you. Yeah.
And then my counselor run over and was like, man, what happened? I said, man, I just ruptured my Achilles. So I ruptured my Achilles, and I'm like, yo, I just started. I'm just an assistant principal. I'm just promoted. My daughter was just starting to walk. And, you know, I walk out. I drive myself to the hospital. I call my wife. I'm like, yo, I ruptured my Achilles. She said, I'm coming to get you. I'm like, no, I'm driving to the hospital. So I drove to the hospital. And my foot is just like this. I get to the hospital, the doctor's like, yo, we got to take off the shoe, and it's hard. And he's like, yo, we got to cut the shoe. You know, we shoe hit. Look it. You're not about to cut my shoe off. So,
not the sneaker.
Not the sneakers. You're not about to cut my sneakers. So they took it off, but my wife was there the whole time. And through everything, I mean, because I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
So she's like taking care of me. And I went through a depression at that because I'm just like, yo, I'm used to taking care of everything, and now my wife is the roles reversed. Like she's making sure my leg is elevated. She's making sure all these different things while I was at my lowest. You know what I'm saying? And it took me being vulnerable, and that was the roughest time of our marriage, was because I didn't know how to take that as a 28-year-old man. You know, so she was there just through it all. And I never forget that, you know what I mean? Like she was my rock through that whole process. And if you ever rupture Achilles, surgery or non-surgery, that's like an 8-9 month process, for recovery.
Talk about that, because I know my husband had went through a period too where he had went through depression, and I was there. And talk about the mindset that men go through, because I'm loving you and I'm giving you love, and you like, you know. And that really is a testament to the relationship, because, like, let me love you. Yeah. But men push away. Why do you think men do that?
I mean, I can't speak for all men. I know I can speak for myself. I didn't know what was going on. You know what I mean? It was just felt like I was irritated. I was frustrated. I was angry. And it was just like, I'm trying to control, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
So it was like my emotional intelligence was programmed to make long-term decisions on short-term emotions.
Wow.
And
repeat that.
Yeah, so I was, at that moment, you know, I was making, you know, long-term decisions based on short-term emotions. Meaning like my wife would take care, do things, and I'm fired, you know what I mean? I'm triggered. And that's long-lasting impacts. Yeah. Right? To a person that I love. Yeah. That now, you know, at the end of the day in the marriage, you picking up those pieces. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it needs to be reversed, where it's like, yo, don't make long-term decisions based on short-term emotions. And that takes a level of emotional intelligence and therapy to be able to understand what is it that I'm going through? Like why am I communicating in that way? You know, like that old cliche, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not, so, you know, it's easier said than done, but, you know, you'll be asking like, well, why you say it like, and if you don't know, like, now you got to do some unpacking with self. But a lot of times, I'd rather look at somebody else's mirror and tell you to look in the mirror than for me to look at my own mirror. You know what I mean? And that's what kind of played out, and that's how it at least played out with me. And that's what made me dive into like, oh, I need to kind of work on self. Yeah. And like, why am I like that? You know what I mean? Will Smith said something that hit me in our marriage. He was like, yo, I got to focus on my happiness. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I got to work on self and what I can do, because hurt people, stress people. Yeah. You know, and I realized that I was putting my stress on my wife during that time. You know what I'm saying?
That's a nice vulnerable place to be. Not too many people want to be that vulnerable and admit that or take responsibility for that. So when we think about Danielle and you talk about Danielle and you look at her,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Aesthetically, physically, what do you like about her physically?
Yeah, man. Definitely her smile and her eyes. Like I fell in love with my wife's eyes. You know what I mean? Like her eyes.
That's a new one.
Yeah, no, her eyes is everything to me. You know, because I always feel like you can tell the strength of a husband through how their wife feels.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if somebody's wife is happy, you can tell a lot about a marriage. You know, you can tell a lot about a marriage on how they argue, you know, and how they have differences. And my wife's eyes was something that, you know, I always fell in love with. And so through the eyes of my wife, hopefully people can see the resemblance of a good man.
It's interesting you say that. I heard a pastor say when he wanted to check on the leadership, the married leadership, he would always speak to the wife, never speak to the husband. Well, not never, but he would speak to the wife first because of what you just said, that you can tell what's happening and how good the man has been by how the wife responds or doesn't respond to, so how's everything going on at home? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a loving piece that falls on to the wife, and most men really don't know that. You know what I mean? And they also don't realize that if you love your wife, this giving freely of ourselves, and I'm a woman, I'm a wife, so I can say this, comes naturally. Like you naturally want to follow the lead of a man that loves you unconditionally and treats you as special and as fragile and as the weaker vessel mentally and physically.
Yeah, no doubt. And you know, I had to learn, you know what I mean? Like I'm still learning. And I think like the journey for me is trying to learn and study my wife. I think early on in our marriage, like I wasn't a good student. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't understanding the problems. You know, I wasn't being able to solve the questions that were put in front of me because I wasn't going home to study, you know, knowing what she liked, knowing what she didn't like. And as I started to actually like focus and study, I know I can get better at this. And that's the work that we talk about. Are you hardly working or are you working hard? Yeah.
And I think, like what you said, that you studied her, that you didn't try to put her into a mold, you didn't try to make her live up to an expectation, you didn't try to make her live up to an image you carried, but you studied her for who she was, who she is, and what she brings to the table and to the marriage, and as a mother. So you have children.
Yes.
You just had a new baby.
Just had a new baby.
Yeah,
11 weeks.
Yeah, so tell us about the little princess.
So first I want to give a shout out to my daughter, Journey Sanai.
Yes.
Just had her birthday. She's 6.
She's an entrepreneur.
She's an entrepreneur. She has her own business.
Yeah.
It's called Journey Sanai Company.
Yeah.
Where it's a children's and it's a kids collection apparel line. Then you know we have my son. You know, named after me. His name is Amen Rahh. The Prince AP. He's 11 weeks. Just you know, having two kids.
I'll take you out.
You start to step that you take you out. But no, it's a joy, you know, to have a son and a daughter. Just seeing them grow, you know, it's crazy. It's just crazy.
You a daddy.
Yeah, no doubt. So it's amazing, you know, that our family is growing. Yeah. You know, and as a family grow, you know, you got different responsibilities. You know, I had to learn that too. Fatherhood, you know, because you got, you know, husband, fatherhood, all these different factors. It's that balance, right? So, but it's been a joy, you know. It's really been a joy to see my daughter grow up, to see my son, you know, just already 11 weeks growing. Just it's crazy. It's surreal. I'm blessed for real.
So as we wrap up, you know, look into your camera and turn on Danielle and let Danielle know how much you love her. Your camera, how much you love her.
Babe, you already know. Listen, we've been rocking since we were 20 years old, 13 years strong, always and forever. The covenant will live through us and our children. You know what was the line? I said, I met this girl on MySpace. She came over to my place, and something else afterward. You know the rest, baby. I love you, but to forever and beyond. All right, always and forever, baby.
And my name is Dr. Anissa Reilly, and this is Amen Rahh, and this is the Ask Dr. Reilly Show. That's a wrap. Peace, Danielle.